Sure. It's so good to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So let's begin our journey into your good work by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic took hold, changed everything. How did you make it through that momentous time period, and how has it affected your work and life in 2025?
Great question, Joe. I think for me, the way I made it through it was first of all because of the support of my family, close friends, just people that you could rely on just to gripe and have conversations and those types of things. I think the other thing that professionally helped me through it was the large database, the large network of people I had developed in my then 25, 26 years of speaking and training, because they came to me and said, "Hey, Jones, our people don't know how to work from home. Our people have all this uncertainty, or they're not dealing well with the change. What have you got?" And I really appreciated that because of my work with them in the past. So I was doing a lot of virtual, of course, a lot more coaching, both on the executive level and others during that season. But those are the two key things that helped me thrive through that season. And now you ask about 5 years later. I understand the power of networking and relationships in business better than I ever did in the past.
Interesting. Well, it seems like when you have to go through a stressful time like that, all of your powers and your senses just get chiseled into a whole new place.
Yeah, I like that phrase. Your powers get chiseled. They really do.
Yeah.
You have to find what works for you. And as my friend David Schmidt, who's Strengths Finders coach, talks about, says, you got to go with your strengths. You got to go where the energy goes, and how can you leverage that in a season or during a challenge to move forward. And so I like that phrase, chiseling. Part of that is saying, okay, what am I good at? What are my strengths, and how do I leverage them in this season?
Yeah. So all of the titles that you hold make sense to me. It comes together holistically in my adult brain. But let's go in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day, and one of the kids in the back of the room that's always curious wants to know the crux of what you do. And they're like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Yeah. Yeah. My answer is what's in my so much of my materials is I help people make the best choices with their time so they can thrive. I
That
help
is,
people make the best choices with their time.
and it's so essential because we get so
Right.
clouded and lost in this forest of wonder as adults or obligations or whatever. And it
Right.
seems like it's simple, especially the kids, because most kids would be like, "All right, well, you just do this, this, and this." It's just the way their
Mhm.
brains are. But as you get to be an adult, the Rolodex gets filled up with all these cue cards, and you got to filter through all of it and figure out what you're going to do, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the choices we make every day. I forget who Charlie Gilkey I think said. You can't manage time. You can manage schedules. You can manage energy, but time can only be accounted for.
Yeah.
And so it's really about those choices we make every day, starting from the time we get up
Uh-huh.
till the time we go to bed. Am I being intentional about those choices I'm making with my time to get me to the outcomes I want professionally and personally?
So what did you want to be at 12 years old? What was your dream gig?
Oh, this is an easy one. Softball question. I wanted to be an accountant.
Okay.
And now
Interesting.
your next question is why? That's because the only accountant that I knew in my small town of Denton, North Carolina, drove a red Ferrari.
Okay. There you go. That's the answer. So let me ask you this. Let's dig a little bit further into your childhood. What were these, what you do on all these things you decided to do are difficult. Getting up in front of people, putting words down, organizing people's lives. It may seem like because you've done this for a while, it's just a part of who you are. But those are not easy things for humans to do. So how did you get these seeds, these these roadmaps built for you early on that has kind of harvested into who you are today?
Well, we'll have to go way back. I guess my mom, I remember at 5 years old, in with some of her women's groups at church and those things, inviting me, no, excuse me, asking me to get up in front and to speak to them or talk to them or share a Bible verse with them. I mean, my mom passionately very early wanted me to be comfortable, talking in front of a group. And so those are some of those things that happened very early on. It was the church. Later in life, I became an educator. And so, that's being in front of people, giving, ideas and information, teaching people to do things. And then I guess not a final piece, but another big piece would have come in the year 2000 when someone handed me our copy of the book, Who Moved My Cheese? A lot of people remember that book. I was in speaking and training at that time, but that book taught me that you don't have to have the answers when you speak to a group of people. You have to make them think in a way that's helpful. You have to help them reflect on their situation and what could they change to get to a better place. And so that probably was one of the biggest breaks of my career because no longer did I have to be the time management guru who's going to give you 5 things and you're going to thrive. I learned to ask better questions and have a framework for people to put their answers to say, okay, what's next? And so those would be some of the things that come to mind.
So I was going to ask if you did get into any level of accounting and got the red card, but I think you're a social economist because you are helping people and
Ooh.
with you're numbering things and helping them. So you're doing it, but did you get the fancy card? Did you get the red card? Did you get the Ferrari? Did any of that happen?
Absolutely not. I had a different set of priorities at that time because the Ferrari would help me get the girls, or at least it would make me feel cool
Yeah.
in that moment. But no, I did have a red Mustang at one time,
Yeah,
but
there you go.
no
Yeah.
longer own that. But no, it's one of those fun things to think about from my history.
So who's been a hero for you? Who's been an inspirational
Mm.
force that's given you this confidence and allowed you to evolve and your place professionally and personally in your life?
Mm. Wow. Oh, that list wow, that's a tough. I'd have to say, first of all, my heroes are my mom and dad,
Yeah.
who've since passed. Mom, because she just had an unwavering belief in me. She had this sweetness about her. Had a steel will, but it was tempered with this sweetness that allowed her to build these amazing relationships with people. My dad, his work ethic. Oh my goodness, just his work ethic in physical labor, and I've leveraged some of that not just for physical work, but just for how I use my mental energy and my time in that way. So that would be a couple people. My wife Lisa of 35 years, just amazing person to me in the way that she works with people, the passion she has for excellence. People will tell you, my wife will make you better. Because she just has this passion to see things better in service to helping other people. And so and I could go, down was it Daniel Lebetsky of the Kind bars? And I mean,
Yeah.
incredible individual who has found that trifecta of people, profits, and planet.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. He would be one. And then finally, I have to say, I meet heroes every day.
Yeah.
Joe, people who are doing amazing things in their corner of the world, sometimes just by getting out of bed in the morning and by living. And if I'm looking for those things, there's always someone who's going to be an inspiration to me because of what they're doing, how they're doing it, or the attitude they have while they're doing it in some
Yeah.
way.
So the interesting thing about the work that you're doing is that you're helping people economize their existence and do what they need to do to get their outcomes. But a
Mm.
part of that matrix is finding your true profession, your true passion, and doing that in life. And you've clearly done that. What was the moment? Was there a light bulb moment? Was there a year in your life? Was there a seminal period where you were like, this is what I was put on this planet to do?
Oh, wow. I think um, as a speaker, you get feedback, of course, after you have spoken or you've worked with a group, and so that's those small moments. But for me, there's been multiple times. I think one of the ones that really just really riveted it to me that this was a place I was supposed to be. I'll never forget. I was at a conference in San Diego, and I was speaking to a group. And as I was walking, I hadn't spoken yet, but as I was walking through the group or something, I mean, and just somebody was walking toward me, and they knew who I was, and they held up a copy of my book, Juggling Elephants, and he said, "Your book saved my marriage." And I'm like, boom, I'm
Yep.
like, first of all, I went, wow, that's heavy. And then I went, yeah, in that moment. But and then since then, when I hear somebody say something specific like, hey, my stress has been reduced, or, my team says I'm not a jerk anymore, in the way that I work with them, those are those moments that remind me that I'm in the right place. And the other piece of that is when somebody says, I did this because of something you said or the framework that you gave me. My goal is to enable people. I don't want to be that person who somebody has to, keep coming back to me. I want to see that person grow. So the next time they have a challenge, they have a framework or a blueprint or a mindset to say, this is what I'm going to do to address it and move forward this time.
So, as a dynamic speaker, what's the best speech you've witnessed in your entire life?
That I have witnessed. Oh,
Yeah,
goodness. I got to go back to the early days before many of your listeners were born. I would have to go back and say someone like a Zig Ziglar from
yeah,
the 80s. I mean, oh my goodness, just such a person of positivity, great storyteller. The visuals that he would give, I mean, I can still see him pumping that red pump, and I was a very impressionable age,
yeah,
then. And so those types of presentations by someone like Zig Ziglar, and then knowing who he was off the stage,
yeah.
that just exponentially increased my excitement to hear someone like him speak because I knew who he was when he wasn't speaking. So someone like him would be that. Yeah.
But you got to figure with a name like Zig Ziglar, you're already on your way. I mean, can you imagine having that name? There's so many different professions that could have worked for. I've never heard anything that unique. So he was
Oh
already
no.
ready to go. He was destined.
That's true. Yeah, I tried something like that for a while. I called myself the speaker with two last names,
Yeah.
Jones Loflin. And actually, I have three last names. My first name's Wiley, but that didn't work so well for me.
Yeah. Well, I think about like even Bob Dylan was Robert Zimmerman and he
Oh, yeah.
changed, there's all these different stage names, but
Hmm.
so let me ask you this. You kind of mentioned before everyday heroes, those that get out of bed every day,
Hmm.
those that have this focus. So at the end of the day, what gets you up every day and motivates you to do this work?
Hmm.
Because you still have to like delve into people's lives,
Sure.
which has all of these different things that can be stressful for you to figure out. But
Hmm.
you also have to take care of your soul and your family. What's the
Right.
collective energy every day for you to do this well and to evolve as a human?
Mm. Um, I'm going to credit Brene Brown for what was that word you used? Chiseling or honing,
Yeah,
sharpening
chiseling.
earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to commend Brene Brown for helping me answer this one because in one of her books, I think it was Dare to Lead, she talks about challenging you to find out what your three values are. What are the things that really get you moving? And we all say, "Oh no, I've got 10, I've got 15," and she goes, "No." Narrow it down. And so I did the exercise with her, and when I was with her book, and then when I was finished, I'm like, oh my goodness. And so for me, first of all, it is my faith. It's seeing that value in every human being, who they are, what their potential is, and that starts with my own family. It
Yeah.
starts with my wife. It starts with my two daughters, my one son-in-law, and now my other son-in-law who's coming along. And it starts there.
Yep.
What I can do to help them become all that God wants them to be. The second one, which didn't surprise me, but it did in the fact that the way I get to do it is generosity. I love being generous. And so when I think about getting up in the morning, just like today, I'm looking over here at some books I'm going to send out. Someone had called in and said, "Hey, we might want you to come do a keynote for us and those things." I'm like, great. Can I send you, a couple copies of my book so you can understand the message? Oh, that'd be wonderful. And I'm going to add some extra stuff to it. I'm going to put a personal note in there. But being generous and the opportunity to get out of bed and go, who can I be generous to today?
Yeah.
Wow, that gets me moving.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this.
Hmm?
If you were to have a dream tonight, ran into the 16-year-old, 18-year-old version of you, ready to go out into the world, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've accumulated, what
Sure.
advice would you impart? And would that version of you listen? That's the caveat.
Now I don't know if that's he probably would because he'd say, "Wow, you lost a lot of hair, Jones." But I think the first thing is going to sound funny. Take care of your teeth.
Yeah.
I did not do a good job of taking care of my teeth when I was a teenager and in my early 20s. And now I'm, what the age I'm at now, I'm going, Jones, it's expensive not to do that. I think the
Yeah.
second thing would be build more networks, build more partnerships, build more relationships, and nurture those relationships. Don't be drifting with those. Be intentional about building relationships with other people because that while I feel like later on in my career and my personal life I've done a decent job with that, I didn't early on. I was what an island unto myself, and I just didn't build those relationships as strongly as I should have, and they could have really been of value to me, not just professionally but also personally. I treasure the opportunities I have each month to talk with certain people in my life. I mean, I have scheduled times on the calendar where I know I'm going to be talking to Josh or to Gary or to John because it just gives me such a sense of purpose and clarity. It gives me opportunity to talk about things. So that's what I would tell my 16-year-old self. And they might listen, but jury's out on that one.
Yeah. So let me ask you about the bee. You
Sure.
obviously love the bee. It's a big part of your message. What do you love the most about the bee?
Hmm. What I love most about the bee is just their clarity of outcome, clarity of purpose. You talked about getting up in the morning and knowing what you got to do. Yes, it's intuitive for bees, but wow, when bees start their day, they are so clear about what their job is that day, whether it's making comb in the hive, whether it's going out and foraging, whether it's taking care of the baby bees. It's just their incredible clarity of energy and action. They know where they're going to spend their time. And so that among the millions, well, not millions, hundreds of things that fascinate me about bees, that would have to be the first one.
The amazing thing about the bee too is that pollination's such a big thing. We know just from
Mm,
a logistical, cyclical standpoint, that's huge. But the fact that of all of the holistic things that exist on this planet, honey is one of the best healers. Pure honey can absolutely, like my son had a canker sore recently, and honey, pure honey, was great. And it's such a healer for the body. It's like there's so many
mm,
levels of what that focus they have is because it's done
mhm,
with the right intent, I would imagine,
mhm.
karmically speaking, that it just absorbs into everybody. Their outgrowth of what they do. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah, what a beautiful example. I mean, and beautiful wording there. I'm glad you said that, Joe, because it really is. It shows us from a holistic perspective what's possible if we are fully focused and
Yep.
committed to a course of action aligned with our purpose, what gets us out of bed in the morning, that you really can have massive impact over time.
Yep.
Now, going back to that honey, one honeybee in its lifetime will only produce what 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey.
Yeah.
But if all of those bees are consistently doing what they're capable of doing, boom, we get gallons of honey
Yeah.
and tons of honey.
That's it. It's interesting because sometimes I'll talk to AI experts, and I know there's these concerns. We have the Arthur C. Clarke movie line in our heads, like, what if it goes wrong? Because we know as humans things can have a tendency to. The best answer that I've ever gotten from somebody about any of those fears was AI will reflect humans. If we go into it like the bee
Mm,
with good intentions,
mm,
doing the right things, putting good messages in there, putting some compassion and empathy behind what we're putting in there. Whether it's just a chatbot in GPT and it's
mhm,
positivity, it's going to completely reflect it and it's going to be a positive organism. And it's just like anything else. It's like raising a child. If you
mhm.
go in there and if you're an example of the behaviors you want them to exhibit, it's going to just make it that much better.
Yes, yes. Input equals output. I mean,
Yeah.
garbage in, garbage out, and that is so critical. And whether it's honeybees or whether how we use AI or just the way we approach our day,
Yep.
is what am I putting into my day? It's like from a time management perspective, I always tell people, please don't get on social media or check your messages or your email for the first hour of the day.
Yeah.
You need to pour as much positive energy into your life, whether that's exercise, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, whatever it is. But you need that time to want to really build up those positive resources because the rest of the day there are going to be things happening that are going to want to drain you of those resources, and
Yeah.
so it's really important that you again put in the right things so you can get out of your day what you want.
For sure. So let me ask you this.
Hmm?
If I was to put you in front of all of the people that have known you in a professional sense, whether speaking to them, clients, anybody in your professional life, and you walk and swim through that group of people to a podium, and you could tell them one fun story about your life, the first concert you went to, a magical place you traveled to, jumping out of an airplane, outrunning a crocodile, something that would be fun that might humanize you a little bit. What would be a fun story that you could tell that room?
Wow. You have just asked the best question, Joe, I have ever been asked in my years of podcasting because I mean, my life is such a mosaic of so many different. Wow.
Yeah.
That just, I mean, I don't, my mind starts going lots of different places. I would think about, getting lost in Italy running with my daughter. And how we didn't know how we were going to get back to the hotel because dear old dad had said, "Oh, let's run a little bit further. Let's run a little bit further." And all of a sudden, we're like, "Hey, all these buildings in Rome look alike."
You know what?
That would be one. Um,
You know what's so weird about that? I got lost in Rome too. I promise. I went there. I visited a pen pal I was writing in high school.
okay.
She lived in Florence. So I took a
Okay.
train down to
Yeah.
Rome, which is an American. It's weird because lira is already a high number count you got to keep in your mind.
Okay.
This was in the 90s. So I had just a paper, like a camera with paper film and all that. Anyways,
Hmm.
I went down there. I was excited and the sun was setting. It was probably like 4 or 5 o'clock. I knew I had
Oh.
a brief amount of time. I was staying by the Vatican and I was like, I got to go by the Forum. I got to go by and I just got to
Hmm.
get my eyes on all of this. And then it got dark and I didn't know Italian well. And I'm just walking. And I remember when I finally got to my hotel, I got on the ground and I kissed the wall of that hotel. I was so excited, but I still had like 9 skeleton keys, one for the elevator, one for the door to get in. And it was just like the whole thing was like this catacomb of intrigue. But I got it. It's no one's ever said that. I got lost in Rome too. So
Oh,
wild.
that is so fun. And so, I've got that story. I would have, just like the story I told you about, holding up the book and the person I say that saved my marriage. I mean, that's an important story because again, a lot of those things you don't know that you're going to have impact, whether it's negative or positive. But it's just taking that intentional action each day.
Yep.
And you're going to have those significant moments that you may find out about now, a year from now, or 50 years from now.
Yeah.
But taking advantage of those.
I think it's like podcasting because sometimes you get stuck in a vacuum and you don't really hear a whole lot. But when you do hear from somebody that tunes in, that
Hmm.
listens, that
Hmm.
likes what you do, it's that validation. It just kind of it's not why you do it because you're going to do it
Right.
anyways, but it's
Right.
just that idea of they finally found that jar of honey and they're like, okay, there you go. It tasted really good and it healed
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
it's a good
Yeah.
thing.
And can we just go there for a second?
Sure.
Joe, I think it's really important for people to let people be, know that they appreciate whether this is a coworker, whether it's a family member. I mean, you're right. We all walk around, and even if we know we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and you and I obviously are, we kind of go, "Am I? Am I?
Uh-huh.
Am I? Am
Yep.
I?" Even as a parent or as a spouse or some, am I? And when we feel that nudge to say, I appreciate that person, respond, go
Yep.
do it,
Uh-huh.
send a text, do something in that moment to let them know because they're probably in that moment going, I wonder.
Yeah.
And it's so important to do. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's very essential. So, of everything that you've accomplished in your life up to this point and evolved to,
Mm.
what are you the proudest of?
My family.
Yeah,
No question. It'd be my family. It'd be my wife Lisa and seeing her thrive and having just talk about experiences, amazing experiences with her. And then, of course, my two daughters, to seeing them now, they're 30 and 21, and seeing them growing personally and professionally, healthy. They've had challenges in their life and being able to walk through those with them. But that'd be what I'd be most proud of. It would be my family.
so, Jones, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, everyone that reads your books, everyone that sees you speak, every client that you have, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Wow. Wow. Who do I think I am? Um, I am a vulnerable, um, 58-year-old man who is grateful for every opportunity in life.
I love it. One final hard question for you. We get off this call, you could go into the Immaculate DeLorean and you could go anywhere in the history of time and see one event. It won't create a tear in time. You can just witness it. You could be a bee on the wall and you can watch this happen. What event would you love to see happen in front of your eyes?
A few years ago, I had the opportunity to visit Normandy, France, and go to Omaha Beach, Utah Beach, and while I certainly do not like to see anyone engaged in war or conflict, just to witness that massive undertaking, because I've read so much about it, I've been there. It would just be mind blowing to
Yeah.
actually see all that happen. Again, I don't want the death. I like what you said. It's not going to create a tear in time.
Yeah.
I don't the death and those things. I mean, it was just unbelievable. But just such a massive moment of good saying, yes, we're going to do this, and it's going to require sacrifice. But the good is so important. We can't not do this. Yeah.
The energy on that beach would just have to be
Oh,
off the charts.
yeah.
Because you have these people that go into some of these haunted places and they read the energy and there's things that are going on. I'd imagine on that beach there has to be such a level
Mm,
of things that are happening,
yeah.
historically speaking. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
not only with the war, but everybody that's gone there, every speech
Mm,
that's been made, the
yeah.
magnification of that parcel of land over time since then has just been probably one of the most visited spots ever.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when I was there and watching the American flag, being taken down at the end of the day, and just taps playing as it went down, and I'm just like, and then you're just there in that moment, and I'm just thinking, whew, that's a lot, and so
Yeah.
that there's a lot. I love that question, and I think that's an important thing. I mean, again, I'm going to be listening to this podcast over and over and writing that question down because I think we all need to think about things
Yeah.
like that.
Uh-huh.
What is it? Because it defines, no, excuse me, it explains. It does not define, it explains who we are, what's important to us.
Totally does. That's it. It really
Mm.
does. So busy as a bee. If anyone wants to pick up a copy, any of your previous work, any of the wonderful work you're doing, if people want to hire you, where's the best place to go?
Well, thank you, Joe. Of course, my website is jonesloflin.com. There you can find all kinds of information about me. If you click on the store, you can get access to all my books as well as on Amazon in that way, both in lots of different forms. One place I encourage your listeners to connect with me on is LinkedIn. I put out a lot of content on LinkedIn, a lot of short content that people can look at and go, okay, now I'm going to do something different in my day. And you just find me at LinkedIn at Jones Loflin.
Okay, I will put links in the show notes. Jones, what a wonderful surprise. What a great fun time. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's been an honor, Joe. Thanks for the work you're doing, but bringing on so many different types of guests. I mean, you're a cornucopia of different interests, and I'm the same way. So I love that.
I know, I feel it. Thank you so much. Best of luck. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.